So Esperanto has a sign language component to you, and that's what you've been showing me, or are you?
So the short answer, the technical answer is yes. There is a sign language that is attributed to Esperanto, but even most Esperantists don't know that it exists, and it's called Signuino. I found it.
Yeah.
No one essentially knows it exists, and it faced a ton of criticism, and that's not really a focal point of my work.
But if you're talking about a universal language, you take the words out and just use sign and pictures, body language.
Yeah,
I mean that seems to be the most accessible way to get a global communication.
That's exactly like kind of that's a core claim of mine, is that the visually intuitive nature of a sign language allows people to learn it so much more efficiently and effectively than written and spoken ones. It's a core principle, a core claim of mine. So I agree, but I think in the grand scheme of things, I think people are going to want to be able to read and write and talk with one another for it to really be adopted long term.
Yeah, but don't you see, somebody cannot know Esperanto and they can learn the sign language and they'd be just fine. You would probably get a lot farther than having someone learn Esperanto.
Well, and that's a good point. So I'm not trying to convince people that Esperanto is the answer. I am exploring Esperanto because it's the most successful so far, and it already has a community that's pursuing it, and there is a lot of content already to consume in that language. And not everybody that speaks Esperanto is really behind my concept of sign. So I agree with you 100% that as a starting point, sign is, I think, is probably the best, the most practical starting point for global communication that exists.
Why don't you go over some of the signs you're showing me before we start the recording?
So, for example, let's really back up and see why we got there at all. So, if I were to show you the word if I were to show you any word in Mandarin, could you recognize it?
No.
Or Arabic?
No.
Or Hindi? All these other languages, but without any introduction to sign, you know exactly what this means, right?
Walk.
And you know exactly what this means?
Driving.
And you know exactly what this means?
Driving.
I mean, without any introduction to that language. So that's why I pursued it. It's like, hey, look, maybe this isn't the end-all solution, but this could be like the building block. This could be like a foundation of where we start to build a framework for global communication, even if Esperanto isn't the end-all solution. But let's start right here. And that wasn't exclusively my idea. I did think of that, but it was kind of it was built on that when I bought this book called Gestuno, which is the International Sign Language for Deaf People. It isn't even widely used by the deaf community, much like Esperanto isn't widely used by the hearing population either. But in the beginning of that book, the World Deaf Federation, which is the largest group leading the deaf people in the world, they said that, hey, look, we got all these people from different countries in one room. All the people that can hear, they can't communicate, but all the deaf people can. And it's just by the intuitive nature of sign that they can communicate so easily. So that's why I think it should be a building block for global communication.
Yeah.
And it's not a unique idea to me. Other people for decades have been saying this, and I think that this is the most appropriate time to take action.
Well, I don't know about you, but like I enjoyed the sign language that you showed me. Like this is a place, and like the library book.
So so like there's like a lot of like building blocks that really, I don't want to say they mimic Esperanto, but like the way that a lot of people think that Esperanto is easy to learn because it looks like other languages. So if you know Spanish, there's a ton of cognates. If you know a couple of the languages in Europe, there's tons of cognates in French and even in English as well. But that's really just the beginning. There's so many other reasons why Esperanto is easy to learn, and it's based on how you build words. Yeah. Every noun ends in the letter O. Every adverb ends in the letter E. And so on and so forth. There's a million examples. But you can build words just like you can in sign. So if this is the word for book, you can say this is a book place. That's a library. You can say you can have a book person. That's a librarian. Same thing with, what were the other examples we were doing before?
What I'm saying is, you teach me that stuff, I'll never even want to learn Esperanto.
Yeah. And I think,
I like what, see, why, this is my criticism,
Yeah.
is when sign is so intuitive
Yeah.
and so easy to pick up on, why would I want to learn another language?
Well, you learned English. I mean, there's definitely nuances that, it can be more efficient to use, writing and the ability to
I'm not
speak.
saying that it wouldn't have its place, but for the layman person, ones that's not a scholar or something, what if they just learned to sign, why would they ever want to learn Esperanto?
I mean, it's efficient. Don't get me wrong. It's efficient to be able to read and write also.
Yeah.
It's definitely useful. But that's not really my claim. Is that I'm not saying that people need to learn Esperanto either. I'm
Yeah.
just saying that the visually intuitive nature of sign is just like a good building block.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, cool. Well, that's
That was wild.
yeah.
I wonder how good you look.